with this session, we start with the Young Scientist workshop. The background is a little bit the following. We selected as a committee, scientific committee consisting of Arnold Lobrecht, Roland Price and Dragan Savic and me. We selected from 160 people who submitted an abstract. We selected 30 people. They came here, they wrote an article about things in the urban water cycle, and then based on the articles, based on their experience, based on their input, they made a vision during about 5 days. And it's very interesting because there are people from all over the world, but also from all over the different sectors. So it were not only engineers, there were urban planners, there were economists, there were sociologists, there were lawyers, and so they all gave their vision about water. And I think that is really interesting because normally when I talk about water, I think, okay, what I say is true, that's the vision of water. But when you ask a lawyer to talk about water, then you get a totally different story. So this vision now is summarized in about 5 slides, I think. And I want to ask Tjeerd to give this vision to you. And maybe afterwards you can have some time to comment or to say what your ideas are about it. Tjeerd, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you everyone. Welcome. Well, I'm here as a presenter, but I'm actually presenting a whole group of people, just as Luc already said. We started off on Monday. And we were about to make a vision that I will present in a minute. Actually, we were thinking about, like, okay, cities of the future. What are cities of the future? What is their problem? The main problem will be economic growth, urbanization, and changing processes such as climate change effects, subsidence, sea level rise, and extreme rainfall, for example. So with this problem, we started off on Monday, and we got a paper from the organization stating what kind of physical problems there are with this city. And actually, at the end, we came up with a vision that does not only entail physical solutions or a physical vision, but it actually entails much more. If we go to the first slide, I don't know who's... I am? Okay. Great. So if we look to what is the overall umbrella of our story, of our vision, it's actually that raising awareness is a very important thing, because awareness is essential for synergizing water with people. So that's what we try to say with the circle below. We try to promote a dynamic cooperation between, on the left side, the local public, and on the right side, the governments. But not only these two stakeholders, all stakeholders should be included in this process. Not only on different levels, but also in terms of disciplines. Different disciplines should be taken into account. With this raise of awareness, we also would like to encourage some kind of paradigm shift. So nowadays, we face problems, that's what we like to say. But actually, is it really a problem? Can we bend a problem into an opportunity? Can we give some positive vibe, a positive implementation into our cities for the future? Another aspect is that we think transparency is also very important within this process, which is actually especially a social process, what you see on this slide. Transparency is important so that everyone has knowledge. So that not only knowledge is available within the government, but also with the local people, and that there's an exchange of knowledge. Another type of transparency is also the fact how we look to the system. Because nowadays we tend to value a water system based on economic benefits or economic costs. Well, at the same time, there are social values, there are environmental values, valuing nature. It's still very a new discussion, and it's still a debate within the scientific world. But it's definitely something that we should take into account when we look to the future and we want to present a vision that entails this kind of beliefs. So if we go to the next slide, you see that I'm talking here about a social process. Still have to get used to the fact that I have to do this by myself, actually. If we go to the next slide, we see that I'm talking about a social process, and it also entails social resilience. It includes that local people, individuals, know that they are aware of the fact that they're living in a flood-prone city. So that's on the left. You see social resilience. That's actually something that we would like to promote. So nowadays, a city is mainly built based on structural resilience. So there's a levee system, there are barriers, there are sluices. So that's what you see on the right. What we would like to include in this vision is that you promote more social resilience, so more awareness of the people themselves. We had Bangladesh, for example, in mind. They're pretty flexible. I mean, they don't have resiliency within their levee system, but they definitely have resilience within their attitude, within the fact that they can cope with flooding. Also, another type of resilience we would like to promote is... Okay. Another type of resilience we would like to promote is ecological resilience. So not only concrete structures, but also using the environment and using buffers that are provided by nature, actually. Then again, if we talk about these different kind of resilience, it also means that there should be a great cooperation between individuals, institutes, etc. But this cooperation can also be used within the water availability and the recycle of the water cycle. So what we like to show with this picture is actually that there should be some kind of open information system where supply and demand of water is being monitored, and that there's an easy exchange between different water sources, so that the supply and demand is always to its optimum, and the distribution of water is also to its optimum. Also on the right, you see that we try to promote a decentralized approach. So meaning that you try to have a closed cycle. So for example, in the upper picture on the right, you see a water system, a recycling system, reusing system within a house. And if that's not feasible, go one scale higher to a city, and otherwise between cities. But if you do it as decentralized as possible, it would mean that you would have a more efficient process. So that means that there's no transport of water from one place to another. At least you try to decrease that. But also that there's an awareness of the fact that you're using water. I mean, the more local you can get this process, the more aware people will become of the use that they have. So if you look at the wastewater and energy, we came up with the idea that we would like to have a sustainable closed system, meaning that within the system you only produce what you can reuse. So that also means that we'd like to use renewable energy within the system, meaning, for example, geothermal warmth based on the water through the earth, hydropower if it's feasible, but also if you separate the used waters, we tend to use used waters instead of wastewater, because we have this idea that every type of water can be used and it's not always a waste. Because what we see as a waste now might be used in the future as an opportunity to get, for example, biogas or other types of energy. At last, if we're talking about increasing awareness and creating a paradigm shift, it always boils down to how are you going to communicate this with the local public. Well, if we take a look at the information systems, we come up with an idea of a water footprint meter for everyone. So it's kind of similar to the carbon footprint. Maybe you all know about the carbon footprint. It actually entails everything that you're using. So if you have a water footprint, it will be a meter that does not only include the usage of water that you get from your tap, for example, but would also take into account the water that you're using if you're eating a steak or if you're buying leather shoes, for example. So if you have this meter, it would give you a direct feedback on your usage. And if you have a web-based interaction with it, people can participate, people can comment on each other, And in the end, there's also this social process. I would say social pressure, but that might be a little bit of a negative thing. But if you have this social pressure, then people are also aware that the fact that they can choose, that they can change their own behavior. And that's actually a way forward on how we think, especially for the vision that that I've just presented for the time horizon of 2030, that this would mean that this would entail the largest path forward. And I mean, I haven't done this by myself. I have a group of 30 people here, which would like to, well, invite to the stage or at least stand up. Because in the end, I mean, we are young professionals. We're new in the water sector, and we have beliefs of renewability, about reusing, recycling, about like using everything in a flexible system. And I mean, that's because we think that that can create a better world. So it might be a big vision for you right now, but try to see if there are aspects within it that you can take along. And if you go back to work on Monday, you can try to implement on your own scale some part of this vision. Thank you very much.